I divided this down to 4 different videos. It was too long for just one video. The first video is the negative impact of cable on us and our kids. Second video is benefits of no TV. The third video is a Christian perspective on TV. The fourth video is switching to antenna and YouTube, giving you practical ways to switch to TV and other options. There are timestamps below each video in the description, so you can just skip ahead to the sections that you want to watch. I hope these videos help people find their way to empower themselves to reverse the destructive dumbing down effects of TV on our minds and our children's minds, and to take control of it or completely rid ourselves of it. The negative side of TV. Let's do some math. Let's talk about money lost. The average U.S. household cable bill is around $83 to $90 per month. Average cost of Netflix is about $8 to $25 per month. Let's add it up and take the low side and make it $95 per month. In 1 year, that's $1,140. That's a lot of money to use on any pastime or hobby instead of TV. It would buy you a decent guitar in a short time and a ukulele in no time, or pay for your choice of any hobby that you or your family want to do instead of watching TV, especially with all the free time that you will have left. Now let's talk about the time lost.
And if we were to say that the average was, let's be generous here, and say that I was watching 2.5 hours a night, every single night, that's, wow, 912 hours. So let's divide that by 24. That's 38 days of the year spent watching TV. So just by not having a TV, I have regained 38 days of the year. That's pretty mind-boggling. And I feel that because I've had more time to dedicate to relearning an instrument. I've been playing more guitar. I've also been able to shift that free time, that 2.5 hours a night, to reading. I've been reading so many more books, and I feel like reading is something that actually actively helps you become more intelligent and more creative. And that's my goal in life, is to continue to improve and become a better version of myself. Healthier, happy, more astute, and more intelligent. Watching TV for multiple hours a night does not help you become more intelligent. Obviously, there are programs that you can watch that are educational, and those are great. All too often we get sucked into watching something that really doesn't make you a smarter, happier, healthier person.
Now look at this. I randomly Googled how many hours does it take to become an electrician. The answer I got was the number of required school hours to become an electrician varies, but you can expect a typical trade school program to range between 576 to 1,000 classroom hours. Some entry-level training programs offer shorter durations, like 9 to 9.5 months of schooling and around 900 hours, while more comprehensive programs are those combined with an apprenticeship can extend to a full 1,000 hours or more. That's amazing. Now look up for yourself how many classroom hours it would take to become certified in any trade that you want. You should have a sense of how much time that you waste on TV. This is just what you'd waste in just 1 year. Okay, but what if I just want to watch news and sports?
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 We're taking in all
this stuff, which is usually negative. Most of the news is negative because that's what grabs your attention. And we started to question that and think about it a bit more and think, well, yes, you have this sort of human thing of wanting to know what's going on. We want to know what's going on in the world. We are interested, and we were very interested. But at the same time, you take it in and you watch the pictures and the images and you hear this, you see the horrendous suffering and sad things that are happening. Say like now it's the floods in Pakistan or the war in Ukraine. And you see these things and you feel it as a human being. You actually are feeling that. And actually our brains themselves cannot distinguish between that. In your brain it registers as this is happening. And so all these feelings and hormones and everything are released and having an effect on us. And then what do we do? What do we do with that? It's not like it's happening in our village where we can actually think, hey, this is happening, this person's having a problem, we can go and help them and physically do something. We can send money, which is often the case, we can do that, we can care, we can worry about it, think about it. Does that actually make any difference? And I'm not meaning to be really hard about this, but when you actually think about it, us worrying and being upset and everything is not actually changing the life of that person and those people that are going through it. It's not making a difference. The things that make the difference are the action, and fair enough, if we take some action, there's a difference and something happens in the world. If we're just worrying and getting upset, then all we're doing is harming ourselves and probably those around us, because we're not able to function in the same way and contribute all those things that you can do when you actually are not worrying and upset. So we started to question it in a big way. We tried without it, and it was a little bit strange, to be honest, for the first week or two once we were in the house, just because you're used to a telly being in the house. Didn't miss it in the camper van. But in the house, yeah, for a couple of weeks it was a little bit strange. But then we very quickly got used to it. And the other thing I should say is we've got laptops, and so we can look at the news on the laptop. If we want to go and just see what's happening somewhere in the world, we can look it up and we can see that.
Iraq, the vast domestic propaganda campaign that occurred in the United States before the invasion began. The story centers on a young Kuwaiti woman named Nayira. On October 10th, 1990, the 15-year-old girl gave riveting testimony before Congress about the horrors inside Kuwait after Iraq invaded.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Nayira, and I just came out of Kuwait. My sister, with my 5-day-old nephew, traveled across the desert to safety. There was no milk available for the baby in Kuwait. They barely escaped when their car was stuck in the desert sand, and help came from Saudi Arabia. I stayed behind and wanted to do something for my country. The second week after invasion, I volunteered at the Al-Adan hospital with 12 other women who wanted to help as well. I was the youngest volunteer. The other women were from 20 to 30 years old. While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators, and left the children to die on the cold floor. It was horrifying. I could not help but think of my nephew.
Nayira's testimony was rebroadcast across the country and marked a turning point in public opinion on going to war. President George H.W. Bush repeatedly cited her claims.
They had kids in incubators, and they were thrown out of the incubators so that Kuwait could be systematically dismantled.
3 months after Nayira testified, President George H.W. Bush launched the invasion of Iraq. But it turned out Nayira's claims weren't true. No human rights group or news outlet could confirm what she said. It also turned out Nayira was not just any Kuwaiti teenager. She was the daughter of the Kuwaiti ambassador to the United States, Saad Nasir al-Sabah. She had been coached by the public relations firm Hill & Knowlton, which was working for the Kuwaiti government.
Back when I was a teenager, I sat down one Sunday and watched football. I watched 3 football games back to back. I loved sports back then. A football game usually would last about 3 hours with the pregame shows and the commercials. So from about noon to about 10 or 11 p.m., I did nothing but watch TV. A full day of watching nothing but football and commercials and junk. That was more than 10 hours completely wasted on mindless saturation of corporate advertising and watching games. I felt guilty, and I felt I just wasted my whole day. A beautiful day outside, perfect weather. I just threw it all away. And I barely skimmed the surface on the negative effects of TV. Keep searching because there are so many more. Perversion and inversion of the truth. One thing to consider about the trap of TV is how its owners present you with the horrors of the world and presenting fear to you constantly. Images of violence, threats of all kinds, financial collapse, racism, war, prices rising, pandemics, sickness and death. But then it balances that by offering solace in the form of entertainment, an outlet for your emotions, a break from the struggle, a pacifier, a way to keep your mind off the stress that they just filled your mind with. The commercials offer you the right pill to eradicate those diseases and illnesses, pushing terrible artificial foods when offering you the right diet or diabetes medicines that can solve all your problems. We at Fill in the Blank are always looking out for you. Trust us, we are experts, while deliberately making no connection between the artificial junk that they constantly seduce you and your kids to consume, to the health problems that you have, and dental problems. We are being played by the corporatocracy, promoting the right credit card or loan to solve all your financial debt problems, by overusing interest payments, financing. Just buy our insurance policy. We even offer special credit to people who may have accidentally gotten themselves in debt in the past. It's all going to be just fine if you just buy our insurance. So just relax, take your mind off all your problems, and watch this next show coming up just for you.
Having a television where you switch it on and you're being told, oh, there's this next program and there's this next program, I would find that evenings would just disappear, because you would feel it was very important to watch this other program. And then when you'd watched it, you realized, well, that was a waste of time. I've just wasted an hour watching something that actually I was not interested in to begin with, and I've achieved nothing. And so not having a television has been absolutely brilliant.